everyone. Hi everyone, it's 3 p.m. and we will start this session. I hope you can hear my voice clearly. So, my name is Ashutosh Behera and I will be the TA for this session, which will be on Saturdays 3 to 5 for the course NPTEL Basics in Biology. Let me share my slides. Just a minute. So, meanwhile, I'll keep adding people who are requesting to join this call, and you just let me know in the comment section whether you can hear me correctly. I'm in process of sharing my slides. Just let me just, for some reason I'm not able to share my screen. Screensaver. Okay, so what I can do is, without wasting any more time, I'll join through another browser and try logging in again. So I'll leave this call and join this call again while my second account is logged in. I think I have joined again. I have joined again and I'll try sharing my screen. Yes. So hi guys again. Just sorry. Yeah. So hello again for all the participants who have joined freshly. My name is Ashutosh Behera, and I'm the teaching assistant for this course, Basics of Biology. So as you have noticed, you must have noticed there are multiple teaching assistants. So they'll be taking classes, or they'll be helping you solve problems and assignments in different times of the week. So if you want to attend this live session, you have to join at Saturday 3 to 5 p.m. That is where we will having this session. And what I'll let you know what. Let's go through once again what we will be exactly doing in this session. So what I'll be putting up in the slides here are 10 to 15 exemplar questions, um, which is related to whatever the topics are covered week wise. And we will go through all these questions one by one. We'll try to solve them, we'll take answers. And I would encourage all the participants to engage in this discussion since it's a live session. So uh, take the most advantage of it. And these will be very basic and simple question, which will kind of brush up your knowledge of what Professor Vishal has taught in this course and help you solve your own assignments. But these will not, may or may not be the exact questions you will be facing in this course for your assignments. And for smooth conduction of this session, I would request all the participants to remain muted and post your answers or comments in the chat box. So I'll be continuously monitoring the chat box. So you can anyway post your query or comment or answer in the chat box. Okay, with that much of a brief introduction, let's start with the week 1 for basics of biology, BT02. And this course is taught by Professor Vishal. So let me just turn on my pointer. Yeah. So here is our first question. An easy one, I guess. Who was the father of anatomy? I hope you can hear and see me clearly, see the slides clearly. If yes, just give me a thumbs up in the comment section. Great. Great. So, an easy question here. Who was the father of anatomy? Option A, Aristotle. Option B, Andreas Vesalius. Option C, Marcello Malpighi. And option D, Galen. Right? There are four options. So let's take a minute to just collect all the answers. I will encourage all the students to participate. You do not have to shy about anything. You just post your response in the chat box. I am monitoring it. And let's collect, let's say, 10 to 15 answers for a minute and then move forward. Who do you think was the father of anatomy? Options can be confusing sometimes. So I'll give you the answer in a minute. For all the students who have joined recently, so as I was briefing the earlier, I was briefing earlier, this class will be from 3 to 5 p.m. and we will brush up our revision, our knowledge on basics of biology week wise. So every week we are going to have this class, and for smooth conduction of this session, I would request all the participants that please keep yourselves muted while while still we keep this session interactive. You post the answers or any queries you have for me in the chat box, and that is how I'll be monitoring the chat box continuously. I see many people have answered. Grisham, Yajurvi, Karan, Salma. Just excuse me if I pronounce some your name wrong, but Varshini, Chanchal, Aparna. Good, 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 good. We are getting responses. Okay, let's move to what is the correct answer of this question. Who was the father of anatomy? Correct option is B. Andreas Vesalius. So all those who have answered B, you guys are correct. People have also answered D, I see, Galen. So let us see who was Andreas Vesalius. Why is Andreas Vesalius considered the father of anatomy? What did he do? Right? So this man on the left is Andreas Vesalius. This he is known as father of human anatomy. And this is a very famous picture from the book he wrote. So what work did he do? Vesalius' seminal work, De Humani Corporis Fabrica, this was the book, and this is the picture from the same book, was based on systematic human dissections, providing accurate and detailed illustrations of the human body. So this man, this scientist, Andreas Vesalius, was the first man to dissect a human body. So those who have answered Galen, I understand the confusion lies where. So Galen was the first scientist or person to dissect an animal body. He worked on pigs and monkeys, while Andreas Vesalius was the first one to dissect a human body. So what did Vesalius do? So nonetheless, Galen was the first one to ever have an idea about the different systems in the body, like nervous system, circulatory system, and the muscular system. But Galen's predictions were inaccurate. Andreas Vesalius challenged Galen's anatomical inaccuracies, such as the heart structure and the jawbone. While Galen laid the groundwork for studying anatomy, Vesalius is credited with founding modern anatomy through empirical observation and critical analysis. So he is the one who is considered the father of anatomy. So I've still gave some information about Galen. Galen contributed significantly to anatomy and medicine, but he is not typically referred because Galen's errors were rectified by Andreas Vesalius through human dissections. And the other three options. So Aristotle, this is Aristotle, the man here. He is the father of biology. Malpighi, father of microscopic anatomy. If you guys remember, we have a structure in our body, especially in the nephrons, which are called Malpighian tubules. This is named after this scientist, Malpighi. And Galen is also known as the father of experimental physiology, since he was the first one to perform experiments and dissections to look inside the structure of animals. Right? Is everyone with me? Just give a thumbs up. We'll move to the next question. All right, great. So far, so good. Let's move on to the second question. Second question is, euglenoids belong to which kingdom? I'll repeat the question. Euglenoids belong to which kingdom? Option A, Monera. Option B, Protista. Option C, Animalia. And option D, Plantae. This should also be one of those easy questions. It's just a yes or no question. If you know it, you know it correct. If you do not know it, then it might be wrong. I'll encourage all the participants to engage in this live session and post your answers in the comment box. I already see many answers. Julie, Preeti, Grisham again, Karan, Aarti, Chanchal Aparna. They have all answered. Meanwhile, I'll keep admitting people who are trying to join this call. I hope the link is shared with all of you guys. Let's wait for a minute and collect few answers, 10 to 15 answers, then we'll move on. Euglenoids belong to which kingdom? So some of these questions that different teaching assistants would be dealing with might be common, but some questions will be different, which will help you brush up the whole lot of topics that you will be studying in series of lectures of the first week. And subsequently, we'll move on till second, third, till the end of the course together. Okay, I see there are many answers. So let's move ahead. Euglenoids belong to which kingdom? Answer is B. Protista. And all of you guys are awesome. You guys just answered very correct. Great. So here is a five kingdom classification given by Robert Whittaker, dependent on these features: the cellular structure, organization of the body, mode of nutrition, mode of reproduction, and phylogenetic relationship. So Monera has all prokaryotes. Protista has the single celled eukaryotes. Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia are higher order organizations. Right? So you guys were absolutely correct. And these are the characteristics that Whittaker took into account for classifying these into five kingdoms: type, mode of nutrition, body, examples. So, this is a table which can give you a rough idea of what kind of organisms we have. It's again just brushing up and revising the basics of the five kingdom classification. Monera are unicellular prokaryotes. Mode of nutrition might be autotrophic, they produce their own food, or heterotrophic, they source it from somewhere else. They do not have a well defined nucleus or organelles, and examples are bacteria, algae, blue green algae. Protista are unicellular eukaryotes, so our euglenoids fall into Protista. They can also be autotrophic or heterotrophic. Some organisms use pseudopodia or cilia. So, if you remember correctly, euglenoids, the, the, the prime member of the euglenoids is Euglena, which has a monoflagellum, which has a single flagellum for its locomotion. Examples are amoeba, paramecium, and euglena. Fungi are multicellular. So once we start moving out of Protista, we have multicellular organisms. And fungi are non-green and eukaryotic. They're saprophytic, parasitic, and sometimes symbiotic. So they are not autotrophic. They depend on other organisms, and these are some of the relations they hold. Fungus is made up of long filaments called the hypha, and the network of hypha is mycelium. And examples are mushrooms and yeast, heavily used in food industry. Plantae and Animalia needs no introduction. So let's just move to the next question. So here is the third question. What is the correct order of classification? The correct order of classification is option A: kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. So the arrowheads determine from higher to lower in a descending order, right? Option B: kingdom, phylum, order, class, family, species, genus. Option C: kingdom, order, phylum, class, family, genus, species. And option D: kingdom, order, phylum, class, family, species, genus. So you guys have to look at all the chronology very carefully. Options would be confusing. Please post in the comment section what do you think is the correct answer. You can just write ABCD for simplicity, right? We all have the questions and options displayed. You can just write A, B, C, D, or what do you think is the correct order of classification. Again, I'll wait a minute to collect some answers and then we'll move on with this question. What is the order of classification? Correct order. Great. I see people have already started answering. Which is the correct order of classification? Grisham, Yajurvi, Chanchal, Srivinayak, Dharani, Mrs. N, Punkuri, Priya, Karan, Preeti. People are answering like, wow, you guys have already, I think you have read the course or you're already experts in this. Shivakumar, Aparna, Raj, Nandini, Aarti, Julie. Great. So the comment section says unanimously the correct answer is option A. So what is the correct answer? You guys are right. The answer is option A. This is the correct order of classification. First occurs kingdom, then phylum, then class, order, family, genus, and species. So, this is a general pyramid for all of us to remember it well. So, on the top lies kingdom, and as we move down the pyramid, as we move towards the bottom of the pyramid, it gets more specific. So, on the top, we have very general very general characteristics which contains many organisms. So just in the previous question, we talked about the five kingdom classification. So we broadly categorize the animals and the organisms into five kingdoms, right? Based on very general or very common characteristics. Then as we move towards the bottom of the pyramid, towards phylum, class, order, family, genus, and when we reach species, then we become very specific. So these classes consist of closely related organisms, and species denotes individual organisms, right? So this is the correct order which all of you have answered. Great, very good. Okay, so here is an example for all of us. So on my left is a human, on the right is a sunflower. So if we list the order from the order that we chose from kingdom, phylum, class, so this is how a species or an individual is named. For a human, the kingdom is Animalia, the phylum is Chordata because we are chordates, we have the vertebral column. Mammalia, we belong to mammals because we have hair on our body. We are primates, we are more closely, the order is primate, we are closely related to monkeys and chimpanzees. So monkeys, chimpanzees and other big apes come with human. Hominidae, which is the family, and Homo sapiens, in which Homo is the genus and sapiens is a species. And our common names are humans. Similarly, for a plant, the kingdom would be Plantaena, not Animalia. And this is an angiosperm. So phylum is Angiospermophyta. Class is Eudicotidae because it's a dicot plant. Order Ranunculates. Family Ranunculaceae. Genus Ranunculus acris. Common name buttercup. So this is how we classify the organism in kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Great. Moving on to the fourth question. The scientist most famously known for naming plants is option A, Magnus Linnaeus, option B, Robert Whittaker, option C, Carlos Linnaeus. Mind the spelling mistake, but C is Carlos Linnaeus, D, Magnus Whittaker. Who is the scientist known for naming plants? Most famously known for. Another memory based question. If you know it right, then it's right. Else there is no chance for guesswork, right? So I would want all of you to please post your answers in the comment box. Meanwhile, I'm checking it. Oh, there are lots of answers already. It's good to see that you guys are really enthusiastic and participative in this session. So as we move on forward, so some of the questions that will span the whole week of lecture series. So the first week I believe has 4 to 5 lectures, each of 1 hour. So all these questions are handpicked from those lectures. And so as we move on, you would expect to get a mix and match of questions from here and there. And similar kind of questions is what you will be facing in your assignments. If you have registered for the examination of this course, then you'll have to complete the assignments. So similar questions will you will be facing in the assignments as well. Okay, the scientist most famously known for naming plants is, now that many people have answered, my chat box is filled with option C. C is the correct answer. Carlos Linnaeus is the scientist who is known for naming plants. So you can see that the options are kind of jumbled with Robert Whittaker and Carlos Linnaeus. Magnus Linnaeus and Magnus Whittaker aren't even real scientists. They are just jumbled to make you go into confusion, right? So the answer is option C, Carlos Linnaeus. This is a picture of Carlos Linnaeus, and this is a book that he wrote. I'll just admit this person. Carlos Linnaeus was born in the 16th century. He was Swedish, and he was a naturalist who created a system for naming plants and animals. He invented the system called binomial nomenclature that we still use today. So the example in the earlier example where we saw Homo sapiens is a binomial nomenclature where the first word Homo depicts the genus of the animal and sapiens is a species of the animal. And they are written in italics with the first word Homo being H being capital and the second species names is a small letter, right? So this started as a Latin because he was Swedish. This started two Latin words. He used two Latin words to represent an organism called binomial nomenclature. Great, you guys are answering good, and so far so good. Is everyone with me? Is it easy to understand? Please just give me a thumbs up or just say yes. We'll move forward. Great. Great, great, great. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 5. The Vibrio is a dash shaped bacteria. Remember the bacterial shapes? You can see four of them in the options. The Vibrio is dash shaped bacteria. Option A, spherical. Option B, rod shaped. Option C, spiral. Option D, comma. Right? I know you guys are answering really fast, but I'll still wait for a minute or two so that we collect maximum number of answers, even from the shy ones who are still not yet comfortable sharing their answers. Guys, I'm not asking you to show me, open up or speak up. You do not even have to turn on your video, but it is an assurance for me that you're following this live session if you answer or you participate in the discussion, right? For all those people who have joined recently, please try to post your answers in the comment box. We have reached question number 5, which is the Vibrio is dash shaped bacteria. Option A, spherical. Option B, rod. Option C, spiral. And option D, comma shaped. I see new people coming up with answers. Good. Small steps to courage, right? The Vibrio is dash shaped bacteria. Let's find out the answer. Answer is option D, comma shaped. And very good to all the ones who have answered it very correctly. Comment section is unanimously answering very Correct answers. Good. The Vibrio is a comma shaped bacteria. Excuse me. So uh, here is a picture showing all the types of bacteria that we have. The upper one is the cocci or cocci, many people call it. Cocci is a spear shaped bacteria. So we have cocci here, spear shaped. We have bacilli, which is rod shaped, and this is a spiralium. I'm sorry, the just this is a spiralium. Now, when there are a bunch of coccus bacteria, coccus is singular for sorry, coccus is singular for this. We call it a staphylococci. Now, if the bacteria is not very rod shaped but also a little bit spherical with a bulge, it's called coccobacilli. Diplococci means two bacteria, two coccus occurring together like this, like with two spears. Vibrio here is our candidate. Vibrio is a comma shaped bacteria. Streptococci is a chain of spherical shaped bacteria, and this is a bacillus, and this is spiralium, right? And the best example, who can give me an example of a Vibrio bacteria? Vibrio or Vibrio? Can you post it in the comment section? An example of a Vibrio bacteria. A very common waterborne disease. Waterborne disease. This bacteria is very notorious for a waterborne disease. It affects humans. An example of a Vibrio bacteria. Yes, you are right. The answer is Vibrio cholerae. Vibrio cholerae is a causative agent of cholera disease. That is a comma shaped bacteria. Great. Moving on to the sixth question. The bacteria that can be found in hot springs are the bacteria that can be found in hot springs. Option A, thermoacidophiles. Option B, psychrophiles. Option C, halophiles. Option D, mesophiles. Guys, understood this question? It's again a classification within bacteria. I'll repeat it again. The bacteria that can be found in hot springs, high temperature. Option A, thermoacidophiles. Option B, psychrophiles. Option C, halophiles. And D is mesophiles. Let's wait for a minute and take some answers. I see many students are still joining the call, and we are over 30 participants now. I think 30 is a good number. So, meanwhile, people are answering this question. I would like to tell you something about this course. This course is basic introduction to biology, basics of biology, and I believe that many of us uh, would be would be able to answer all of these questions. These are very common and general knowledge questions, but still we need to brush it up sometimes. Maybe our memory would refresh when we see these questions. So it will always be at our fingertips and might be of help. Who knows when, right? So I have also taught courses other than this in the previous semester. Like I was involved in teaching courses like developmental biology, which are a tad higher level courses for which you need basic knowledge of transcription, translation, and cellular processes. I've also been teaching engineering courses like nanotechnology in agriculture. So, in all those courses, I have seen very less students actually come to participate in this live sessions. So, I make it a rule in my classes that students do participate, and I feel that many students feel shy to come up and speak up on mic and turn on their video. It's fine, totally fine, and it is that is why I'm promoting everyone to type their answer in the chat box. So it's even easier to manage such a meeting in which there are not too many mics speaking up, right? Only I am the one who is speaking up, and but still people are participating. So I believe I'll carry forward with this. Okay, so let's not waste any more time. The bacteria that can be found in hot springs are, I need not even say these answers because the comment section is guessing it very, so finding it very nicely, which is thermoacidophiles. So it's really easy. We will see all these kinds of classifications of the bacteria. The bacteria that can be found in hot springs. With hot, when I mean hot, is a temperature, high temperature. So the word thermoacidophiles from the thermoacidophiles will live inside hot springs. Now, what is psychro? Psychro means sub-zero temperatures. So bacteria found in ice cold areas like mountains and glaciers. There are bacteria which also survive there. Halo means halogens or salts. So any salty area rich with halogens like NaCl, those will be halophiles, bacteria living in those areas. And mesophiles, right? Deep down in the earth. So here is a good representation of all the different classification of bacteria, and I hope that you will remember this by this pictorial diagram. So on the first we have bacteria living in glaciers, psychrophiles, and those which are living in sub-zero temperatures of the deep sea. So there are psychrophiles as well as thermophiles. So in the deep sea we have areas which are really high in temperature, and also other areas which are sub-zero in temperature, oceanic floor, right? Then we come to the sea, ocean, and trenches, Mariana Trench. So any bacteria which will be living as deep as the Mariana Trench will be experiencing a lot high amount of pressure. So those bacteria will be called piezophile. Piezo means pressure. You must have heard the term piezoelectric. So there are materials which can convert pressure into electricity. Such materials are called piezoelectric, right? So totally irrelevant in totally unrelated, but just wanted to mention. So bacteria which is living under high pressure is piezophile. Halophiles on beach sand. In beach sand you have silicates. The sand is made up of silica, boron silicates, and a mix of all salts, sea salts, when the sea water evaporates. So those sands are very salty or concentrated with halogens. So bacteria surviving there is the halophile. And then we have hydrothermal vent. Now there are volcanic and regions inside the seafloor as well, and there are hydrothermal vents. So bacteria found there are the thermophiles or thermoacidophiles. Metal sulfide deposits and bacteria found there are metallophiles. Similarly, in alkalic lakes, like the there are many lakes which are very alkaline, highly alkaline. There are halophiles, alkaliphiles, volcanic area, metallophiles again, acidophiles, volcanic springs. So when the spring water is contaminated with all these sulfates which form sulfuric acid, most of these lakes are found near the volcanic areas. So bacteria found in such areas would be acidophiles. And thermoacidophiles is a bacteria which can survive in high temperature as well as in high acidity or in low pH. And desert has xerophiles. So this is a good representation for you to remember all the different classifications of bacteria depending on the geography or the temperature, pH characteristics of where they can survive very well. Okay, all good. Let's move on to the seventh question. Dash are used in filtration of oil and syrups. Dash are used in filtration of oil and syrups. Option A, chrysophytes. Option B, dinoflagellates. Option C, euglenoids. And option D, slime molds. Just mind the typo. This is slime molds, not slime models. Dash are used in filtration of oil and syrups. Let's take a minute to collect some answers. Meanwhile, I'll be asking you guys whether you're liking it so far, if you're able to hear me, and you can see, follow the slides. We'll have a chit chat session at the end of this class where I can take your feedback. But let's focus on the question as well. Dash are used in the filtration of oil and syrups. I see many answers have come up. Neelam, Miss Miss Babu, Farsana, Rajnandini, Priya, Karuna Karan, Sri Vinayak Aarti, oh, so many people. Preeti, Anisha, Karan, Neelam, Shivkumar, Rasna, many answers. Great, great. Good to see this participation. Okay, dash are used in filtration of oil and syrups. Let's look at the correct answer. The correct answer is A, chrysophytes. To all those who have answered option A, you guys are correct. Congratulations. To all those who couldn't answer it correctly, do not worry, we have many more questions in which you will get a chance to shine. Right? Option A, chrysophytes, is the correct answer. Chrysophytes are used in filtration and oil syrups. Now, what are chrysophytes? Chrysophytes consist of organisms called diatoms. Diatoms are, as you can see in a microscope, which is zoomed into 400x. These are all miniature creatures, the chrysophytes, but they have something very unique about their cellular organization. So this is the type of organism that is used in oil filtration. Why? Because their cell walls are very hard and they are rigid. Their cell walls are made up of silica, which makes them indestructible. So these diatoms are indestructible, technically indestructible, because their cell walls are made up of silica, and silica is something we find in glass and in sand, in quartz and in minerals, right? Silicon dioxide is silica. So their cell walls are made up of that. Now, no other land living terrestrial organism has a cell wall like this. They are found in water and they are miniature in size. Now, how do they, what property of this cell wall makes them be used in oil filtration? Because of the gritty surface, it prevents impurities, it filters out the impurities from the oil because of the gritty surface of the silica cell wall, right? So, how are diatoms used in filtration? When diatoms die, they leave behind their cell walls in the ocean. So, this is what happened when I say they have a rigid or indestructible cell wall. The organism inside the cell wall dies, leaving behind the cell wall, sorry. Over time, the cell walls accumulate to form what is known as diatomaceous earth. So the sea floor or the sea bed is covered with this diatomic cell wall, now known as diatomaceous earth. Now this earth, when excavated, which is made up of silica, this is very gritty. Gritty means very pointy and rough surface, like a loofah, which we use for bathing, right? Diatomaceous earth is gritty and is used for polishing and filtering oils and syrup. So when you rub or grit with a gritty surface or a rough surface, you can easily polish a substance, and it is also used in trapping materials or impurities present inside oils and syrups. Just because of this hard cell wall, now that the cell is dead, the diatom is dead, the chrysophyte is dead, now the cell wall can act as a filter. There is a gap, hollow gap, in which the oils and syrups can be filtered through. Okay, great. So, are you guys able to follow all these questions that we are solving? And do you like this session? Just give me a yes or no or a thumbs up, and then we can proceed. Good, good. Great, great. Thank you for the great response. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Eighth question: the correct scientific classification of Aedes aegypti, which is the mosquito. Now, you guys have to tell me what is Aedes aegypti after you answer this question, right? The correct scientific classification of Aedes aegypti is option A, Animalia, Annelida, insect, Diptera, Culicidae, Aedini aegypti. Option A. Option B, Animalia, Arthropoda. Mind the spelling mistake. No, it's not Anthropoda. Arthropoda. Insect, Diptera, Culicidae, Aedini aegypti. Option C, Animalia, Annelida, Insecta, Culicidae, Diptera, Aedini aegypti. And option D, Animalia, Arthropoda, Insect, Culicidae, Diptera, Aedini aegypti. Now, this can be a difficult question for you guys. So, to help you out with this question, I'll just give you a hint that if you remember the second or third question where we discussed the order of classification, where we had kingdom, phylum, class, order, right? So all these options are based on those. So you have to just remember what is the correct kingdom, class, order, and all the order of classification for this organism, which is Aedes aegypti. And please try to use your own memory. Do not Google. Google will always give you the right answer, and you can just paste it here. But let's just brush up. Let's just Google our own mind and then find it out, right? Can be a little difficult and confusing because some of these orders are interchanged, right? So let's take a minute to collect some answers, though I see already people have started answering. Meanwhile, I was reading the question. People have looked at the options and started answering. Very good, very good. Okay, but still, I'll wait a minute for all of us and then we'll proceed. Okay? So, you guys keep answering. I'll just quickly grab a bottle of water for me. Yeah. Okay, let's see who have answered. I saw many responses. Oh, there are so many. There are so many. So I see Yajurvi, Farsana again, Rajnandini, Mrs. Babu, Chanchal, Aparna, Preeti, Priya, Shiv Kumar, Anisha, Rasna, Karan, Navmi, Arti, and Dharani. Okay, we have reached the eighth question. So, a disclaimer, I have seven more questions for you guys. So, the total question tally we are going to solve today is 15. So, on some courses, on some weeks, it can be 10, 12, or 15, depending on the level of questions. Since this is the first week and introductory class, which easy questions, we have 15 numbers, and we will complete it within a span of 2 hours. So without further delay, let's see what is the correct option. What is the correct scientific classification of Aedes aegypti? And the correct answer is B. Very good, very good, very good. B is the correct option. So Aedes aegypti will be from the Animalia kingdom, Animalia, phylum Arthropoda, and kingdom, phylum, class Insecta, Diptera is the order, Culicidae is the family, Aedini is the genus, and Aegypti is the species. So when we refer to our organism using the Carless Linnaeus method of binomial nomenclature, we only refer to it as Aedes aegypti. So now this is the mosquito Aedes aegypti. Can you so before going into before proceeding, can you guys tell me what is the common name for this mosquito Aedes aegypti, and what is the disease it is associated with? So these mosquitoes are very notorious. They are vectors or carriers for many deadly human diseases, and Aedes aegypti is a vector for one such disease. Can you name its common name and the disease it is associated with? Please tell me in the chat box. What is the common name for Aedes aegypti? Aarti has answered dengue fever, and Aarti is correct. So Aedes aegypti is the is the causative vector, is a vector which transports dengue fever. So dengue fever is a deadly disease in humans in which the blood platelets die. So in the blood we have three types of cells, which are red blood cells, the primary oxygen carrying cells, the white blood cells, which are immune cells, and platelets. So in dengue fever the platelet count goes low, and this mosquito is a causative of the dengue fever. So be wary of it, guys. But since our question was what is the correct order of classification, this is the correct order of classification. So we have an order of classification called domain, which is standing above the kingdom: Eukarya, kingdom Animalia, phylum Arthropoda, class Insecta, order of Diptera. Now Arthropoda has many other sects. One such class is Insecta, which defines insects, and there are other classes of in Arthropoda as well, like crustaceans, which includes lobsters and crabs. These are also arthropods. Order Diptera. Diptera means insects with two wings. So all these are also called true flies. The housefly, the mosquito, these are all examples of dipterans because they have two wings. Family Culicidae, genus Aedes, and species is aegypti. So the organism called Aedes aegypti. Very good, very good. Okay, moving on to the ninth question. Which of the following are non-nucleated? This can be an easy question, an easy answer. Which of the following are non-nucleated? Option A, bacteria. Option B, fungi. Option C, plant. Option D, virus. Read the question carefully. Sometimes there might be more than one correct answer. Which of the following are non-nucleated? Come on, guys, I'm waiting for your answer. Please mention in the chat box what do you think is the correct answer for this question. I'll wait for a minute. Which of the following organisms are non-nucleated? Okay, I see lots of comments in the chat box. I'm sorry. Hmm. People are okay. D virus. Yajurvi says D virus. Chanchal D. Rajnandi Dharni, Farsana, Aarti Priya. Everyone is going with virus. Okay. Sakti, Rasna, Aparna. Mrs. Babu says bacteria and virus. Okay. Hmm. Yajurvi is saying that bacteria do not have a nucleus as they are prokaryotes. Okay, let's see what is the correct answer for this question. Which of the following cells or organisms are non nucleated? The answer is A, bacteria, and D, virus. So, all those who have answered both A and D, which is bacteria and virus, are the correct ones. So, it's true that viruses are the ones which do not have a nucleus, but as perfectly explained in the comment section, bacteria is also a prokaryote which does not have a defined nucleus as such. So, let us understand the difference between a prokaryote, a eukaryote, and virus, which is defying all odds of classification. A virus is not even considered a living organism because the virus cannot reproduce on its own. It needs a host membrane or a host cell to reproduce on its own. So, virus is just an aggregation of nucleic acid, which is the DNA or the RNA, the genetic material of the virus, and proteins. It does not have anything else, right? It definitely does not have a nucleus. But what happens in prokaryotes when we come to bacteria? The bacteria as such does not have a defined organelle called nucleus. The bacteria have something, the bacteria's DNA or the genetic material of the bacteria is floating inside the cytoplasm of the bacteria, and the region in which the DNA accumulates is called nucleoid, which is not a true nucleus but something which is similar to a nucleus, right? Where the genetic material is floating inside the cytoplasm. But bacteria do have other organelles and other features like extra chromosomal DNA, which is called plasmid. So, in the bacteria, if we go from outside to inside, we have the capsule cell wall, the outer covering of bacteria. There are gram positive bacteria which stain for gram staining. They are containing an outer layer of capsule which infers protection to the bacteria and also responsible for virulence and infectivity. So we have capsule, then we have the cell wall, then we have the plasma membrane or the cell membrane, which is found also in the eukaryotes, and then inside we have the cytoplasm, and somewhere in the cytoplasm is the genetic material which is floating around, which is not a proper nucleus but also called nucleoid. In the eukaryote, we have a specific organelle called nucleus, which has its own membrane, which is also called nuclear lamina. And there are many such organelles in eukaryotes, like the Golgi apparatus that we see here, the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell. We have been studying it since school. We have the Golgi apparatus, we have endoplasmic reticulum. These are all different organelles, specified organelles of the eukaryotes. So, such organellar distribution does not occur in prokaryotes and definitely not in virus, which is not a living thing. So, the virus and the bacteria both are the correct option for organisms which lack a well defined nucleus, which does not have a nucleus. Is it understandable to everyone? Please let me know with a like or a yes in the comment box. Right? So these sessions are here to clarify all your concepts, and so that you can perfect upon your answer. Okay, good. Thanks for letting me know. Great. So moving on to the 10th question. Tapeworm belongs to which phylum? Sorry. Tapeworm belongs to which phylum? Option A, Aschelminthes. Option B, Platyhelminthes. Mind the spelling mistake. Option C, Annelida. And option D, Arthropoda. Again, mind the typo. Should be an easy question if you have fleeting memory of what is a tapeworm and where should it fall inside the animal classification? The tapeworm belongs to which phylum? Aschelminthus, Platyhelminthes, Annelida, Arthropoda. Please excuse me for mispronunciation, but it is what it is. Okay, we'll wait for a minute, though I see already many people have answered. Because these questions are a, a total black and white question. If you know it, you know it, right? And seems like most of you guys have already read and prepared for this session. Then surely you will do great in your assignments. There's no doubt in that. Okay, let's wait for a minute and collect some answers. Then I'll reveal what is the correct answer. Tapeworm belongs to which phylum? I think people keep leaving and joining for some reason. It might be their internet issues or network issues. But since I'm holding this class on Google Meet, it should be pretty easy to join. But yeah, if you have network fluctuations, then we cannot really do much about it, right? Okay, so it's 1 minute up. And the correct answer to this question, tapeworm belongs to the phylum Platyhelminthes. And all of you, not a single one of you has answered otherwise. You guys are all great in these quizzes. Very good. Correct answer is B, Platyhelminthes, as all of you have answered in the comment section. So this is the whole classification of the tapeworm. The common name is tapeworm. Scientific name is Cystodis. It is again a eukaryote. The domain is Eukarya. Kingdom is Animalia. Phylum, which was the question, which was Platyhelminthes. Class Cestoda. Order Cyclophilidae. Family Tenidae and genus Taenia. Okay, so tapeworm. How many guys know tapeworm? Right? Tapeworm is a very notorious parasite. So these tapeworms, these platyhelminths, we'll see in the next slide, I guess. Sorry. These platyhelminthes are very notorious. They latch, they have hookers and suckers which latch onto the host membranes and then suck the nutrition out of them. So these are all parasites. The two classes, two phyla, which is platyhelminths as well as aschelminths, which are roundworms. So both of them are known parasites for human beings. Now tapeworms is found mostly in cows and in pigs. So that is why it is advised that when we consume meat, when we consume cow or we consume beef or pork, we should be really careful and we should cook it long enough so that it kills any remnant of tapeworm. So let's avoid most of the mammal meat, which is cow and beef and pork, because it is also resident to these tapeworms, as well as other other parasites, right? So these tapeworms then home into the intestine and then suck all the nutrition, which causes teniasis. So this is commonly known as tenia. So these causes lots of diseases, right? And they can grow to lengths up to 2 meters, and they look like an elongated tape. That is why they are called tapeworm. They are flatworms. Okay. Coming to the 11th question. Which of the following is not an example of arthropoda? Which of the following is not an example of arthropoda? Option A, cockroach. Option B, spider. Option C, mosquito. Option D, leech. So you guys have to, again, I'll mention, you guys have to carefully think about it. There might be more than one options correct, as we saw in the earlier question of the cells which do not, sorry, organisms which do not have a nucleus. There were two correct options, right? It might be one, might be two. You guys have to look at it. Which of the following is not an example of arthropoda? Let us wait for a minute to collect some answers, and then we'll move forward. We have almost reaching towards the end of this session, since it's just an hour and we have completed 10 questions, right? We have time till 5 o'clock to wrap things up, so there's no hurry. Now that I have judged that the class is very active and highly participative, coming up with correct answers all the time, I'll try to include more questions from the next session. And also to those who are yet not comfortable in answering in these sessions, I promise you, as we will gradually move towards solving more questions across different courses and across different lectures in the week, you guys will be more comfortable. Maybe this is not the area of the subject where you want to answer, or you have read it, right? So it's very important to read or through all the lectures, recorded lectures from Professor Vishal, for understanding this course. And if you just attend the live session, you'll brush up everything that was taught in those lectures in your memory. Okay, so I'll reveal the answer for this question. Which of the following is not an example of arthropoda? I can see many people have already answered. Oh, people have even told me the answers. Yes, which of the following is not an example of arthropoda? Option that is correct is D, leech. D, leech is the correct answer to this question. As mentioned correctly in the comments, Farsana says leech is Annelida. Farsana, you're right. Leech belongs to another class, which is Annelida. While cockroach, spider, mosquito are all examples of arthropoda. Mrs. Babu says, okay, except spider, all the organisms can fly. Oh, I would like to correct you, Mrs. Babu. Leech is an organism which cannot fly. It's actually a worm, but belongs to annelid. Leech is also a parasitic worm. It feeds on blood. So it has blood sucking tooth with which it latches onto the skin of mammals. Mostly leeches are found in swamps and marshes, and they latch onto the skin of mammals and try to suck their blood. That is how they fill the stomach. That is the meal. So leech cannot fly, spider can also not fly, cockroaches and mosquito can fly. Yes. So the correct answer is leech, which is annelids. So how to identify which is what organism falls into the class of arthropods? So there are some general features through which these organisms have been pooled together to be called as arthropods. All arthropods have a body supported by hardened external skeleton called exoskeleton. So unlike us, which are humans, we fall under the class of mammals. Mammals and vertebrates and chordates and then animalia. So we have our skeleton, which is bones, inside the skin. But arthropoda has their skeleton outside the skin, which is called exoskeleton. Arthropods have a body supported by hardened external skeleton. So those organisms are arthropod. Whereas like mammals like us, we have our bones inside our body, inside our skin. The appendages of arthropods, their legs, antenna, mouth parts are jointed. So they have jointed appendages. This is also one of the most important features in the arthropod class. Their legs and arms and wings are all jointed. Just like we have two, three joints in our hands, then we have five joints in our fingers. Their appendages are also jointed, and their appendages can be many. For flying insects, there can be wings, there can be antenna, there can be mouth parts, like in mosquito we have the proboscis. There can be legs which are suited for jumping, like in crickets and other grasshoppers. But all of their legs and appendages are jointed. And internally, the nerve cord runs along the lower ventral part of the body and is not enclosed in a protective spinal column. So they do not have a spinal column. They are not vertebrates. So the nerve cord, which is the spinal cord in humans, runs along the lower ventral part of the body towards the ventral side, which is towards the belly side, and is not enclosed in a protective spinal column. Blood is moved by the aid of a tube like heart, and the overall body arrangement is bilaterally symmetrical. So they can be divided into two halves, the right and the left half, which is similar to what humans are. We are bilaterally symmetrical. Another important feature that I have shown in this diagram here, between an insect, which is an arthropod, and also a spider, you can imagine it to be a cockroach and a spider, they also have segmented body. So their body is consisted of segments, and each segment is then divided into thorax and the abdomen and the head, thorax and abdomen. That is how we can say that this particular organism, falls into the class of arthropoda. So the correct answer was leech, which does not follow this body organization. With a hard exoskeleton and with jointed appendages, the leech does not have any appendage, it's a worm. And it also does not have a say it does have a segmented body, but it is not an arthropod, right? So far so good. Moving on to the 12th question. An example of poikilotherms is dashed. Option A, sea turtles. Option B, Arctic fox. Option C, whales. Option D, penguins. What is an example of poikilotherms? Let's wait for a minute to collect some answers. Which of these is a poikilotherm? For this, you first have to understand what is a poikilotherm and what are the other categories into which organisms can be divided. Is it sea turtle? Is it Arctic fox? Is it whale or a penguin? What is a good example of a poikilotherm? I see there are many answers already. Farsana, Yajurvi, Aarti, Priya. I think many people have left this call. I see lesser people. People keep joining and leaving in between. That's okay. That's okay. Okay. Now I see more answers coming up. Navami, Chanchal, Neelam, Ram, Rasna, Mrs. Babu. Everyone is unanimously saying option A is the correct answer. And I would not be surprised if you guys are totally correct. The correct option is sea turtles. Sea turtle is an example of a poikilotherm animal. Arctic fox, whales, and penguins are not poikilotherm, they are called homeotherms. Right? Now let us understand what is a poikilotherm and what is a homeotherm. So poikilotherm are organisms which cannot maintain their internal temperature, which cannot control, they have relatively variable body temperature. So their homeostasis is not maintained, the internal body temperature. As mentioned correctly by someone in the comments, cold blooded, yes, they are also called cold blooded animals. So mammals and birds are warm blooded animals. They can regulate their internal body temperature. Their blood always remains at an internal temperature of 37 degrees. Like us in humans, we have an internal temperature of 37 degrees. And all our cells and inside of our body can maintain this temperature. While in a poikilotherm, they cannot maintain their own temperature. That is why they're called cold blooded. Whereas what they can do is they get heat from the environment, and then they are also called ectothermal animals. Ecto means from the outside, right? And endo means from the inside. Example, most aquatic fishes, invertebrate amphibians and reptiles. Right? So these are all the cold-blooded animals. They take help of processes like burrowing and hibernation and to maintain their internal temperature as close to possible as the environment. So examples of poikilotherms are most aquatic animals and invertebrate amphibians and reptiles. Now, what is a homeotherm, on the other hand, has a relatively constant body temperature and can regulate their own body temperature and get heats not from the surroundings but within the body. So we burn all the fat and the glucose and the energy that we get generate from within is powered up in heating our body, like to generate maintain 37 degrees Celsius of internal temperature inside the body. Examples are birds and mammals. So if you see the earlier question, Arctic fox is a mammal, which is a homeotherm again. Whale is a mammal. Even being aquatic, it is still a mammal. That is why it is a homeotherm. It will fall under the classification of homeotherm. Penguin is a bird, so it is also a homeotherm. That leaves aside sea turtles, which are aquatic, and those are poikilotherms. So the correct answer is option A, as all of you guys have mentioned clearly. Very good. So far so good. Is everyone able to follow? Are we moving? I just hope that I'm not moving too fast or too slow, because I have I have added these explanation slides after these, even the simplest of the questions, so that we get our concepts really cleared and our foundation really strong while moving forward with the presentation and the question answers, right? Because here we are to learn the basics of biology. So I'll be totally going to the basic level. I hope everyone is following with the presentation. Just let me know in the chat, and then I'll move forward. Cool, cool. Thank you. Okay, moving on with the next question. Question number 13th. Tunicates belongs to which subphylum? Tunicates, if you remember, belongs to which subphylum? Option A, Urochordata. Option B, Cephalochordata. Option C, Vertebrata. And option D, Porifera. These are the different options. Now, tunicates belongs to which subphylum? Is it Urochordata? Is it Cephalochordata? Or is it Vertebrata or Porifera? Right? Let's wait for a minute to collect some answers, and after we are on all on the same page, I'll reveal the correct answer. Though I have observed that most of the guys that are attending these classes are really smart and they're answering really correct. So it is a high chance that the correct answer that I am going to display will match yours, which is a very good thing. Okay, let's just wait for a minute, and I'll be back with the correct answer. Tunicates belong to which subphylum. I can see some answers. There are many, many answers. Rajnandini, Farsana, Anisha, Navmi, Yajurvi, Mrs. Babu, Shweta, Priya, Chanchal, Ram, and Rasna. Hmm. Okay, let's not waste any more time and reveal the correct answer, which is exactly what, as I said to you earlier, you guys are good at answering these quizzes. Option A is the correct answer. Tunicates belongs to subphylum Urochordata. Now, what is Urochordata? So, the phylum Chordata has the why is the phylum Chordata called Chordata? Because it has the classification characteristic that all the organisms having a notochord can be grouped into the phylum Chordata. The presence of notochord and pharyngeal gill slits. These are the two characteristics that phylum Chordata organisms share. So inside the phylum, there are few subphylums that we talk about. One subphylum is Urochordata, another is Cephalochordata, and the third one is Vertebrata. So in vertebrates, which comprises of all humans, we have bony vertebra, which is supporting or which is covering the notochord or the nerve cord. Cephalochordates, which consist of lancets, which are primitive invertebrate fishes. Tunicates, which almost look very similar to poriferans or sponges, sea sponges, but they are very different. In their embryonic stages, they do display pharyngeal gill slits and uh, have the characteristics or features of being classified into the phylum Chordata. So on my right is an example of a Urochordate, which is blue in color, and tunicates belong to the subphylum Urochordata, which you have answered very correctly. Okay, moving on to the 14th question. The body of tunicates is covered by tunicin, which is made up of dashed. Option A, glucose like material. Option B, protein like material. Option C, collagen like material. And option D, cellulose like material. Now, this is a level 2 question from the tunicate family. First, we saw that it is under the subphylum of Urochordata. And then the next question is, what is the body of tunicates covered of? What is it made up of? Tunicin is made up of a glucose-like material, a protein-like material, or is it like collagen, or is it like cellulose? I hope you know the differences between all these materials that I'm talking about. Glucose is a sugar, which is also the energy source of our body. Protein is consisting of building blocks of our is a building block of our body, which is now in turn built by amino acids. Collagen is a type of protein which forms the extracellular matrix of the cells in multicellular organism, in many multicellular organisms. And cellulose is a substance that is present in the cell wall of plants, right? Plant cell wall is very tough and rigid for supporting the inner plasma membrane. It is made up of cellulose. Cellulose is a I would say polymer. It's a polymeric structure compound. Glucose is a sugar. Protein is made up of amino acids. Collagen is a type of protein which consists extracellular matrix and cellulose. Now, tunicates, which of these do the tunicates have? Tunicates have something called tunicin, which is made up of dash. Let's see. Meanwhile, I was speaking, I saw many people answering. I just hope you are not Googling these questions. Otherwise, it is all very simple, right? Okay, I see people have answered D. Let's wait for a minute more and look at some more answers. I would encourage people who have not yet participated, please post your response in the chat box. We are almost moving towards the last of the questions. The session would end at 5 p.m., around 5 p.m. So please, this is the second last question, and then we have the 15th question. That's it. People who haven't answered yet, I would like to see response from those. Quite easy of a question. If you know it, then please post it in the chat box. I'll be observing it from my phone. Ram, Chanchal, Rasna, Navami, Aarti, Farsana, Priya, and Shweta all have answered. Okay, since I do not see any new responses, I'll just move ahead with this question. The body of tunicates is covered by tunicin, which is made up of option D, a cellulose like material. Well done, guys. You guys are correct again. Option D is the correct answer. Tunicin is a material which closely resembles cellulose, which is found in the cell wall of plants. Now, if you see this diagram of a simple, this is a diagram of a simple tunicate, or a general diagram body organization of a tunicate. This is the entry point. So tunicate is a sessile organism which is just like a sponge. It is attached onto a reef surface or a diatomic surface. Now this is the oral siphon through which the food or the flow of water enters. These are the pharyngeal gill slits which I was talking about, which classifies the tunicates into the chordata. The anus lies somewhere here near the pharyngeal gill slits. This is the intestine, and this is the atrial siphon through which the water exists, or the flow of the water exists. There is a stomach, there is a heart, and the whole organization here is covered in what is known as tunic. Now the tunic is a bag in which the tunicate resides, or it is the external skin of the tunicate, and this tunic is made up of a substance called tunicin. The tunicin covering is the outer layer of the urochordates, just like our skin, right? Also known as tunicates. It's made up of tunicin, a cellulose like substance, and protects the tunicate body. So it also functions as a skin, it functions as a barrier and a protection for tunicates. Tunicin is a structural component of cellulose that is similar to plant cellulose. It is also known as animal cellulose. So tunicin is also commonly called animal cellulose, since its structure is very similar to that of plant cellulose, right? And it is found in urochordates. Now the tunic, which is a sac-like outer covering of the urochordates, also known as the test or the mantle, is made up of tunicin, proteins, and carbohydrates. So tunicin is not the only constituent of the tunic, which is the outer covering of the urochordates. It is also containing proteins and carbohydrates along with the major component, which is tunicin, from which the name arises, which is tunicates, right? Okay, so far so good. Are all the people with me? Is it simple to understand? Is it easy to follow? Just let me know in the chat box. Then we'll move on to the final question. Great, 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 cool. Okay, to the final question of this session. Of course, an easy one again. Salamander belongs to dash. Option A, Amphibia. Option B, Chondrichthyes. Option C, Reptilia. Option D, Insecta. I don't know if you guys have seen a salamander, but if you have, then it will be still easier for you to answer this question. Salamander belongs to dashed. Option A, Amphibia. Option B, Chondrichthyes. option C, Reptilia, and option D, Insecta. This is the last question of this session, guys. So I would I would love to see a full response from the class. I'm already seeing many answers, and this is, I think, one of the easiest questions from this session. Let's wait a minute to collect some more answers. Salamander belongs to dashed. Aparna has answered option A, Yajurvi, Mrs. Babu, Navami, Farsana, Aarti, Priya Rasna, Sangma, Vidya, Shivkumar, Ram, Dharani, Surya, Sakti, Shweta, Dhanlakshmi, Salma, Chanchal. Oh, there are so many. I see new names. It's good to see that people are trying to come up. I assure you that if you if you are regularly showing up in these classes, it will always be a beneficial time for you guys that you spend around 1.5 to 2 hours of live session, because so NPTEL has arranged for all these PMRF scholars to guide these live session, myself being one of them. So we put our efforts into making these slides and conducting these sessions. So it will be of utmost respect to all of us if you come, show up in great numbers, and you be consistent. And we only want the betterment of you guys, which will help so that we can be of any help for you throughout this course, clearing your doubts and helping you up with assignments, and making you do exemplar questions, keeping the session interactive as a platform for you guys to learn something about this course, because the lectures will always be a recorded lecture, but the only live interaction that you guys can have with NPTEL is through this TA session. Okay, so it's a minute past this question, and it's the most obvious answer and easy answer. Salamander belongs to the class Amphibia. You guys are all correct. You guys are all geniuses. Salamander belongs to the class Amphibia. Chondrichthyes, Chondrichthyes talks about the fishes, the cartilaginous fishes, and there are Osteichthyes, sorry, Chondrichthyes belong to bony fishes, Reptilia, reptiles, snakes and crocodiles, Insecta, which is insects, which falls under Arthropoda, right? Yes. So this is the final answer. So here is just a brief about what are the general characteristics. How would you recognize an organism which falls into this class, which is amphibia, right? What are the general characteristics? An amphibian spends first few stages of the life in water as tadpoles. So we all know, if you remember the life cycle of a frog, or if you have seen frogs around your home during rainy season croaking, and if you see, as a kid, I was always curious, and I used to go to ponds and used to see these eggs floating in the water. And those are actually the frog eggs which will turn into tadpole. So the initial phases of these amphibia are in water. Tadpoles are herbivorous while adults are carnivorous. Yes, so tadpoles feed on plants and algae, while when the tadpole becomes a frog or a salamander, then they feed on insects. So frogs love insects, right? Have no nails or claws, the tadpoles, minimal number of teeth, most have a tongue that is projectile and sticky. They are ectotherms. So these guys, these amphibia, are ectotherms or the poikilotherms. They cannot regulate their internal body temperature. During extreme environmental conditions, they either hibernate or estivate, right? They go into hibernation. These frogs and salamanders and um, um, all the all the same classes. The skin is smooth and rough without any scales, but with glands that make it moist. So many times we come to hear that amphibians breathe through their skins, which is absolutely correct because the skins remains moist and there are spicules or holes in the skins, tiny minute pores through which gaseous exchange takes place between a frog or a newt or a salamander, and they breathe through the skin. They can survive both in land as well as inside water. That is why they are called amphibians, right? Contains mucus glands and poison glands and pigment cells. So most of the time, frogs must be cryptically colored. They have poison glands to deter their predator, and they also have smoothing glands like the mucus glands and pigment scales. They are heavily colored. They can also have poison glands, and they also contain mucus glands for smoothness of the skin. Right? So salamander belongs to the class Amphibia. So, with that, we have come to the end of this session. We have solved a total of 15 questions. 15 questions spanning the whole lecture of week 1, lecture week 1. If you remember, I'll just stop my presentation. Yes, I'll just stop presenting. Yep. So now we are all here. I would just like to clarify certain things that this whole session is recorded, and these recorded sessions will be uploaded on my YouTube link as well. So I'll be sharing the YouTube link in the next class when I upload this first video. So if you guys really want to access the YouTube link and follow the recordings and all the questions and answers, all the discussions we had in this session, you have to join in the next class as well to receive the YouTube link once I upload this video, once this recording is done. And the slides that I have presented here will also be uploaded into a Google Drive, which will be shared with the NPTEL coordinator. You can request them for the slide link as well if you want to access these questions and slides. And that's all for today. So the classes timing will be regularly on following this day onwards on Saturdays from 3 to 5 p.m. roughly. And I could see, so this was the first class today, and I hoped you liked it. If you have any suggestions or feedback for the conductment of this class, or you can just post it in the comment box, right? Or any doubts related to week 1 lectures, you can just let me know. I'm sure I would be able to answer it. If not, then I'll read about it, whatever your doubt is, and then remind me in the next class, which I'll be able to help you out. But to clarify further, uh, you have to do your own assignments. These are all example questions for your assignments. Some questions might be common, or some can be a little twisted, which but doing these questions will help you brush up your knowledge of all the classes that you did complete in this week. And yeah, that's it. I hope you liked the class. So, since we finished before time, I can take any questions or doubts regarding to the session, regarding to the way I operate, and if you want to speak up, if you want to talk to, if you want to talk about this course, you can, right? And with that, I'll just leave this behind. And so I'll record this whole session. This is in progress recording, and upload this slide as well as the presentation for all of you guys. So do for all those students, all your friends who have registered for the examination as well as who are just auditing this course, please ask them if they have missed this class and they want to have a follow up on these questions. They can visit the YouTube link in the next class, which I'll provide in the comment box, and they can access that. They can follow this class, and See you soon in the next week with week 2. I hope all of you guys, just like today, read your lectures and prepare with the questions, right? Do your assignments on time, and I will meet next week with a set of another exemplary questions. Till then, take care. Bye bye. I'll end this session, and all of you may leave this call.